Hare Krishna. Okay, so wir chanten Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu im Songbook auf Seite 40. Dem. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koromore Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koromore Toma Bina Kedayalu Jagata samsare Toma bina ke dayalu Jagata samsare Patita pavana hetu Tava avatara Patita pavana hetu avatara Mosama patita Prabhu napaibe ara Mosama patita Prabhu napaibe ara Haha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Haha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripa Balo Kana Koro Ami Bodo Kripa balokana koro ami buddha duki Daya Kuru Sitapati Advaita Gosai Daya Kuru Sitapati Advaita Gosai Dava Kripa Pale Pai Chaitanya Nitai Dava Kripa Pale Pai Chaitanya Nitai Haha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunatha Haha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunatha Patayuga Shri Chivaha Prabhu Lokanatha Patayuga Shri Chivaha Daya Kuru Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Daya Kuru Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Ramachandra Sangamake Narottamo Dasa Ramachandra Sangamake Narottamo Dasa Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Toya Koramore Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Toya Koramore Toma Pina Kedayalu Jagata Samsare Toma Pina Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Jaya Gora Hari, Jaya Gora Hari, Jaya Gora Hari, Jaya Gora Hari, Gora Hari, Jaya Gora Hari, Jaya Gora Hari, Jaya Gora, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 166. Ja heute Pai Krishnera Prema Sevana.
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 Aita Kailiun Abidheya Vivarana.
Eta Kailun Abidheya Vivarana.
Eta Kailun Abidheya Vivarana.
Eta Kailun Abidheya Vivarana.
Ja heute Pai Krishnera Prema Sevana.
Ja heute Pai Krishnera Prema Sevana.
Eta Kailun Abidheya Vivarana.
Eta Kailun Abidheya Vivarana.
Ja heute Pai Krishnera Prema Sevana.
Ja heute Pai Krishnera Prema Sevana.
Aita Kahilun Abidheya Vivarana.
Aita Kahilun Abidheya Vivarana. Ja heute Pai Krishnera Prema Sevana.
Ja heute Pai Krishnera Prema Sevana.
Eta Kailun Abidheya Vivarana.
Eta Kahilun Abidheya Vivarana.
Ja heute Pai Krishnera Prema Sevana.
Ja heute Pai Krishnera Prema Sevana.
Eta Kahilun Abidheya Vivarana.
Eta Kahilun Abidheya Vivarana.
Vaishnavis.
Yaha hoite Pai Krishnera Prema Sevana.
Ja heute Pai Krishnera Prema Sevana.
Eta Kahilu Abhidheya Vivarana.
Eta Kahilun Abidheya Vivarana.
Yaha hoite Pai Krishnera Prema Sevana.
Ja heute Pai Krishnera Prema Sevana.
Eta Kahilun Abhidheya Vivarana.
Eta Kahilun Abhidheya Vivarana.
Ja heute.
Ja heute.
From which Pai I can get Krishnera of Lord Krishna. Prema Sevana. Affectionate service. Eta. This. Kailun. I have done. Abhidheya. Vivarana. Description of the means. Devotional service. In detail. There's translation. There is no purport. that by which one can attain loving service to the Lord, I have described in detail as the execution of devotional service called Abhidheya. So we are here in the 22nd chapter, which is entitled The Process of Devotional Service. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks to Sanatana Goswami, and the last couple of months we were hearing this process of devotional service in great detail. And this couple of shlokas, they just conclude this chapter. So we'll read a few more shlokas and begin the new chapter. And this chapter basically deals with Abhidheya. There is Sambandha, Abhidheya, Prayochan. Sambandha, which is our connection with the Lord, and Abhidheya, the process, how to reconnect, and Prayochan, the ultimate goal, which ultimately is Prema, pure love of God. And in this 22nd chapter, in great detail, Abhidheya, or the process of devotional service, was described. And I'll just read a couple of more shlokas. Text 167. Abhidheya satana bhakti ebi kailuna sanatana sankshepa kailun vishtarana yaha varnana. My dear Sanatan, I have briefly described the process of devotional service in practice, which is the means for obtaining love of Krishna. It cannot be described broadly. And then text 168. Whoever hears this description of the process of practical devotional service very soon attains shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna in love and affection. So that's the Falashruti. Whenever we have this description, usually at the end of such description there is the Falashruti. Phala means the fruit, the benediction which is given after hearing such teachings. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says those who have listened to this description carefully, they get a blessing, and the blessing is that the Krishna Premarupa, the wealth of pure love of God, will be given to such a person. So just by hearing. I mean, of course, the blessing is also have to do something, but blessing is there. And then the last text in this chapter, 169. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asa Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunatha, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. This is a prayer which every chapter basically ends. Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami offering prayer to Rupa and Raghunatha. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 22nd chapter, describing the execution of devotional service. So before we jump into the next chapter, maybe we can just summarize a little bit the teachings. So first, the glory of bhakti was described. And then how the conditioned soul can be delivered. The glory, the supremacy and the independence of Krishna Bhakti was described. How Bhakti is completely independent of any other path. And how Bhakti is actually the only means for deliverance for a conditioned soul. And then Krishna's mercy on those who approach him. How Krishna shows his mercy. And then step by step the awakening of pure love was described. Bhakti was described, how Shraddha develops, and the qualities of Vaishnavas were described, the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava, and surrender to the Lord. And then in great detail sadhana bhakti was described, the practice in devotional service. First, Vaidhi bhakti was described. Sadhana bhakti in general was described, the 64 angas of sadhana bhakti. And as we know, sadhana bhakti, there is basically three kinds of bhakti. There is sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, and prema bhakti. These are the three kinds of bhakti that exist. Sadhana bhakti is the bhakti that we do in the stage of practice, and then bhava bhakti is the stage of perfection, and prema bhakti is the stage of ultimate perfection. There's 2 stages of perfection, bhava and prema. But sadhana bhakti is the stage of practice, and then sadhana bhakti is further divided into 2, in Vaidhi bhakti and Raganuga bhakti. And both Vaidhi and Raganuga are sadhana bhakti, which means they're practicing stage. And Srila Prabhupada explains that this sadhana bhakti is just like a child who learns to walk. Because the ability to walk is already there, but the child is just practicing. And then the natural ability comes in, and then the child actually walks. If the ability would not be there at the first place, the child could never walk, even with many exercises. But the ability is inherent, it's already there. So similarly, to love Krishna is already there in our heart. We do have that love for Krishna is already there, but at the moment it's in a dormant state because our consciousness is covered. But if we revive, and that's the whole thing, Prabhupada often emphasize that bhakti is not something artificial, Krishna consciousness is not something artificial that comes from outside, but it's more to awaken something that's already there, which is that pure love, which is already there, and it just needs to be reawakened. And therefore we practice. Prabhupada gives another example. It's funny. Prabhupada says it's just like when you have a car and the engine or the motor, you say engine, of the car goes on, and sometimes you have to get some strong men, and they push the car, and at some point in the car starts to run on its own. So Prabhupada says sadhana bhakti is like pushing. You push and push until at some point, naturally, the car starts to drive, to work. So in the beginning we need push, but then when we come more to the spontaneous platform, then it's very natural, and it comes up in a very natural form. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes 64 angas of this sadhana bhakti, things that we can do to awaken that natural love. And starting with Guru Padashraya, taking shelter of a spiritual master, then Diksha, receiving initiation, serving that Guru, following his instructions, and so on. And when we can see the morning program that Srila Prabhupada gave us, actually most of the different angas are included. So just by following a morning program, we're actually practicing all the different angas, like participating in the arati, seeing the deities, singing in front of the deities, watering the tulsi plant, circumambulating tulsi plant, offering obeisances to the Vaishnavas, and hearing from scriptures. All these different angas are there. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes the 9 main processes and how different devotees attained these processes. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also describes the difference between Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. Both are sadhana bhakti, both are still in the practicing stage. But one, Vaidhi, is according to rules and regulations, and Raganuga is then more spontaneous. And Prabhupada gives the example of... What example Prabhupada gives in the Nectar of Devotion? Someone remembers?
Going to Mangalati.
Yes.
At the moment, at first we don't want to go, and we have to be disciplined and force us. But one day we just want to go, we are eager and very happy to attend.
Yes, you all came to Mangalarti. Very nice. Today many devotees were at Mangalarti. But why did you came? Because the alarm clock rang. And because someone told you that's what we do here, right? You come to the temple, okay, you can stay here or you can visit, but if you visit, you have to get up. That's how it goes. On your own, most probably you would have slept a little longer. But then, according to rules and regulations, because someone tells us, then we do it. So that's Vaidhi. But Raganuga means you have so much love in your heart that you can't hardly sleep. And you're missing Krishna. And then you know, at Mangal Arati time, the curtain opens, and again you get a chance to see the beautiful form of the Lord. So you naturally just want to go to Mangal Arati to see Lord Jagannath again, because you haven't seen him for, like curtain closed at 7:15 in the evening, and many hours you haven't seen the Lord. Now you get a chance to see him again. How can I miss Mangal Arati? I want to see him. That kind of feeling is there. Then that becomes very spontaneous, and that's how Raganuga Bhakti is described. Of course, there's a whole science behind what Raganuga Bhakti actually is, and this was also described here. And the main thing is that there is raga, and raga is the Svarup Lakshana, or the natural aspect of raga is that there is a deep attachment to Krishna. One has a deep attachment to Krishna and a deep absorption. And there is two things. There is the Ragatmika Bhakta and the Raganuga Bhakta. Ragatmika means the eternal liberated devotees in a spiritual world. Persons like Yashoda Mai. Now we have the month of Kartik. We celebrate Mother Yashoda. So she is a Ragatmika Bhakta. She's an eternal associate of the Lord. Or Nanda Baba, or the Gopas, the Gopis, the Manjaris. These are all Ragatmika Bhaktas. They're all eternally perfected associates of the Lord. So now, a Raganuga Bhakta, what he does, he tries to follow in the footstep of a particular Ragatmika Bhakta. That means he develops a certain taste, a certain attachment to one of the devotees of the Lord. He sees, wow, the way Mother Yashoda serves Krishna is very sweet. I also want to serve in that way. So what does he do? He starts to reflect on the service of Mother Yashoda. And that's basically, that process is called Raganuga Bhakti. And Prabhupada gives some description on that also. For example, now we are in the month of Kartik, and we hear this pastime, which is described in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam in the 9th chapter. Mother Yashoda binds Lord Sri Krishna. There we find these two shlokas, text 1 and 2. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued, one day when Mother Yashoda saw that all the maidservants were engaged in other household affairs, she personally began to churn the yogurt. While churning, she remembered the childish activities of Krishna, and in her own way she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all those activities. That's the beginning of the Kartik Lila. We know Mother Yashoda, she felt that Krishna is stealing butter in the different houses of the gopis. That's not good. And we have 900,000 cows in our own property. We get so much milk. How is it that Krishna goes and steals other people's milk and yogurt? Maybe it's not tasty enough. So that's why I have to do it myself. They had a special cow with special grass, special milk, and then Mother Yashoda personally prepared yogurt and then personally churned butter. And she invested all her love into that butter, making sure that Krishna really has tastes that butter, and then he doesn't have to steal again. So Mother should have personally wanted to do this. So, and the Bhagavatam describes how she's doing that service. In the 3rd shloka it says, there's a description of Mother Yashoda. Dressed in a saffron yellow sari with a belt tied about her full hips, Mother Yashoda pulled on the churning rope, laboring considerably, her bangles and earrings moving and vibrating, and her whole body shaking. Because of her intense love for her child, her breasts were wet with milk. Her face, with its very beautiful eyebrows, was wet with perspiration, and malati flowers were falling from her hair. So this is a description how Mother Yashoda churning this butter, and how the malati flowers falling off the hair, and how she's little sweating and with intense love performing this service. And Prabhupada says in a purport, anyone who desires to be Krishna conscious in motherly affection or parental affection should contemplate the bodily feature of Mother Yashoda. So if someone has this inclination to Vatsalya Rasa, then he should meditate about this form. It is not that one should desire to become like Yashoda, for this is Mayavad. You cannot become the mother of Krishna. That role is already taken care by Yashoda. You can't become Yashoda. That's already given. But you can. There is many other elderly gopis who maybe sometimes also take care of Krishna, and they have the similar affection like Mother Yashoda, and that you can attain. Either in parental affection or conjugal love, friendship or servitorship, in any way, we must follow in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, not try to become like them. Therefore, this description is provided here. Advanced devotees must cherish this description, always thinking of Mother Yashoda's features, how she was dressed, how she was working and perspiring, how beautiful the flowers were arranged in her hair, and so on. One should take advantage of the full description provided here by thinking of Mother Yashoda in maternal affection for Krishna. So basically this purport describes Raganuga Bhakti. How one is fixed in a certain rasa, a certain relationship, and then how one meditates about one of the Ragatmika Bhaktas. And then of course when this meditation becomes deeper, then one, by the mercy of the holy name, one also will realize his own swarup, his own form and his own service in that similar mood to Krishna. So, of course, these are very advanced topics, but they're all described here in these beautiful chapters of the Madhurya Chaitanya Charitamrita. And now the shlokas that we read today, so far, they basically describe bhava. How, last week we heard about the development of rati and bhava, and this will be, the description will continue in chapter 23, which will now start. So I'll read a few shlokas. Chirat atam nicha guptavitam svaprema namamrita atyudaraha aparamoyo vitatara gaura krishno chanabhyastam aham prabhadye. The most magnificent Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Gaur Krishna, distributed to everyone, even the lowest of men, his own confidential treasury in the form of the nectar of love of himself and the holy name. This was never given to the people at any time before. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So beautiful prayer to Gaur Krishna. Krishna who has become Gaura Sundar in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and who distributes that love to everyone. Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandra Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories are to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, now hear, O Sanatan, about the result of devotional service, which is love of Godhead, life's ultimate goal. One who hears this description will enlightened in the transcendent mellows of devotional service. So chapter 23 described the process of devotional service, and now chapter 23 now describes the result, prayojan, which is bhava and prema. Krishna rati gada hoile prema abhidhana Krishna bhakta rasera eistai bhava nama. When affection for Krishna becomes deeper, one attains love of Godhead in devotional service. Such a position is called sthai bhava, permanent enjoyment of the mellows of devotional service to Krishna. I'll just read a couple of shlokas and then we comment a little bit on it. There's no purport. Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma Prema Surya Masu Samya Bhaka. When devotional service is executed on the transcendental platform of pure goodness, it is like a sun ray of love for Krishna. At such a time, devotional service causes the heart to be softened by various tastes, and one is then situated in bhava, emotion. This verse is found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 131. And then the last shloka for today. Eidui bhavara svarupa tatashta lakshana premara lakshana eba asuna sanatana. Bhava, emotion, has two different symptoms, constitutional and marginal. Now, my dear Sanatan, listen to the symptoms of love. Okay. No, there's a purport. The word Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma means situated on the transcendental platform of pure goodness. In this way, the soul is purified of all material contamination, and this position is called Svarup Lakshana, the constitutional symptom of bhava, emotion. By various tastes, one's heart is softened, and there is an awakening of one's loving propensity to render spontaneous service to the Lord. This is called Tatashta Lakshana, the marginal symptom of bhava. Yes, there's two more shlokas describing bhava, and then from text 9 onwards, the 9 stages of devotion are described, which we leave for the next speaker. When that bhava softens, the heart completely becomes endowed with a great feeling of possessiveness in relation to the Lord, and becomes very much condensed and intensified. It is called prema, love of Godhead, by learned scholars. Okay, maybe we can leave that also. So, in this a few shlokas here, bhava is described. Now, this stage of bhava, as described here, it's like a sun ray of love for Krishna, and at such times devotional service causes the heart to be softened by various tastes, and then it's situated in bhava. And then it's described here that yes, Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma, situated on the transcendental platform of pure goodness. So basically, if one attains the platform of bhava, then one is not anymore under the influence of any three gunas. No, one is certainly on the level of Shuddha Sattva. We know that in the material world, we are all influenced by the three gunas, Tamaguna, Rajaguna, Sattvaguna, and usually a mixture of those. But if one attains the truly spiritual, pure spiritual platform, then this is Shuddha Sattva. It's pure goodness. It's not mixed with any material elements anymore. And then one will be not anymore influenced by the external energy, but actually by the internal energy of the Lord. One will be completely under the spiritual guidance of the Lord Himself. And of course, this is a very high platform, the bhava. And we know there are these 9 stages of devotional service. It begins with Shraddha, that one develops some faith. And actually the whole process of Krishna consciousness is an increase of faith. It starts with faith, and prema is like the full expression of faith. Jai Jagannath Baladev Sudra Shishi Gaunitai. So faith is the beginning, and without faith we cannot make any step. That's the first thing, is that we develop a little faith. And like everyone who is here, at some point we got a little faith that let's check out what is this Hare Krishna all about. Maybe we met someone on the street, or we heard something about Hare Krishna, or we were on the internet, we saw something. Then we had for some reason we had some little faith. Okay, let me see what this is, And somehow we came in touch. And of course, if there is little faith, and actually faith is described as ultimately it's Shastriya Shraddha, it's faith in scriptures, that we have some faith in Shastra, that what is said here, that makes sense. And if you have some faith, then we come in the association of devotees, sadhu sangha. And in the association of devotees, actually what association with devotees means, then in the association we realize that these people are different, no? And I'm sure we also remember when we came in touch with devotees, for some reason we were touched in our hearts by some devotees. Like we could feel they're very selfless, no, they're very kind, they're very loving, and they have something special. The devotees have something special. And you can feel that there is some purity, there is some way of selflessness. They just want to help, they want to serve. We become attracted by the qualities of the devotees. And then in the association of Vaishnavas, we learn how to, basically sadachar, we learn how to behave, amongst the devotees. And also basically we learn the mood of a Vaishnava, we learn what does it mean to be a devotee. And then in that association because association is very powerful, with whomever we associate, it will have an effect on our consciousness. So more and more we also learn and become devotees ourselves. And then when we develop, usually we start to hear from a particular person who becomes our Shiksha Guru. We hear from a devotee or from different devotees. And at some point we accept one sadhu as our guru and we accept initiation. And then this bhajana kriya starts, where we actually perform devotional service under the guidance of a guru. But then bhajana kriya is described as two kinds. There is steady bhajana kriya and unsteady. And usually we are performing which one? The unsteady. Anishtita bhajana kriya. We are performing devotional service, but it's a little bit unsteady. Unsteady means there's different symptoms of unsteadiness. I don't know how much we want to go into them, but basically in the beginning we are super enthusiastic, but that enthusiasm soon goes away again. And then also our performance of devotional service is kind of, sometimes we are very fixed up and the next day we are super spaced out. It's called Ganatarala, it's kind of, sometimes it's condensed, strong, and the next time it's very thin, it's very loose. So we're always back and forth, and sometimes we're very fired up and fixed up, and then the next moment we are not so fixed anymore. That's a symptom. And another symptom is Vyuda Vikalpa, that we are unsure what we should do. We are, should I do this or should I do that? We have many doubts how we should practice Krishna consciousness. And of course one of the most common one is Vishaya Sangara, which is the battle with the senses. We are in a very unfortunate world where there's many battles, there are wars taking place in this world. But the fact is that there is a war inside of us also. We have these inner battles. And the inner battle with the senses means that we understand, and that's the whole point of the Anishtita Bhajana Kriya. The problem is that theoretically we know the goal of life is Krishna and we want to develop love for Krishna, but inside of us we have still these samskaras, these different impressions that pull us in a different direction. So we want Krishna, but we also want to enjoy the material world. There is still so many material desires, and they're pulling us in a different direction, and that creates really a tension. And in the Vishnu Purana it's very nicely described. It says that for someone who is absorbed in material sense, someone who is absorbed in enjoyment, it's very difficult to absorb in Vishnu. You cannot absorb in Vishnu or in Krishna if you're very much absorbed in sense gratification. And the Vishnu Purana gives a good example. He says, for a person who goes into the direction of west, it is very difficult to catch an object in the east. If you go in this direction, you cannot get something in the other direction. So if you go towards sense gratification, you cannot think that you can catch Krishna, because Krishna is in the other direction. So that means you have to give up sense gratification in order to get Krishna. You cannot do both. Was Prabhupada also compared to a fire, devotional service like a fire. But if you pull water on the top, then the fire extinguishes. So sense gratification, sinful activities, then we again distinguish the fire of devotion. So we know this, but then the senses, the urges, they push us, they pull us in different direction. That's why we have this inner war with sense pleasure that's going on in our heart. And then there is the inability to uphold vows. We say, okay, now we have Kartik. No, this month of Kartik, it's recommended that you take some vows. Did you know? You should take some. I mean, the minimum is that every day you sing the Damodar Astaka prayers, this song, and you offer one lamb. That's the minimum everyone should do. And then you can do additional. Some take a very heavy one, like no sweets for a whole month. Especially heavy because there is Govardhan Puja in between, with a whole mountain of sweets, and you don't take any sweets. That's very hard. But some do they take this, wow, no sweets the whole month of Kartik, or they chant extra rounds, or get up early in the morning. You can think of something in order to give pleasure to Krishna. That's the motivation should be. Give some pleasure to Krishna. I like to do something special to please Krishna in the months of Kartik. But on the platform of Anishtita Bhajana Kriya, we make some vows. Yeah, let's do it. And then after 4 days, 3 days, and we already fail. Because we are not able to uphold these vows because of spiritual weakness. And then 6, there is the Taranga Rangini, which is that we start to enjoy the facility offered by Bhakti. If you practice Bhakti for some time, then you get some Shakti, Bhakti Shakti, and people respect you. Oh, you have been practicing for many years. You play so nice the mridanga. Then we start to enjoy these things. Yes, I'm playing so nicely. So instead of practicing Bhakti and pleasing Krishna, we start to enjoy the results coming from Bhakti. So that's also a symptom of the unsteady nature of Bhakti. But nevertheless, if we perform, then more and more we become fixed, and then anartha nivritti takes place, the heart becomes purified. We get rid of the anarthas. Anarthas are the unwanted things in the heart. And when the heart becomes more and more purified, we attain the platform of Nishta. No, it says, Nashta prayeshu avadreshu nityam bhagavata seva. This Nashta prayeshu, almost when we Srinvata Sagata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanat, when we listen to the Bhagavatam, then that which is unwanted in the heart will be removed. And then Nashta prayeshu means we are getting fixed in devotional service. And Nishta is a very beautiful platform because then spiritual life actually begins. Before it's a struggle. It's described like with a bicycle, you go up the hill. If you go up the hill, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. But once you're on top and then you go down, it's like, ooh, it becomes really fun. Like the cycle is going on its own. It's like, phew. There is no effort anymore. No, until the heart is purified, until you attain the platform of steadiness, there's a lot of effort. You really have to struggle hard. But then once you become steady, actually steady, and you can really absorb yourself, then spiritual life becomes really, deep. And the main symptom of Nishta is your ability to absorb in hearing and chanting. Yesterday we had Kirtan festival. That's a test. 8 hours Kirtan. How long can you sit there? I mean, if you have back pain like myself, you can hardly sit for a couple of moments. But if you're physically healthy. But then how long can you actually absorb? Yeah. Because usually the mind becomes very, and also in japa when we chant japa. How much can we absorb? And on the platform of Nishta, we can just sit down and we just chant. Because we have the ability to absorb, the heart is pure, we can absorb. And when we can absorb in the holy name and in the practice of devotional service, what happens? Ruchi is developing. And when Ruchi is developing, then we really get a taste, a deep taste in devotional service. And Ruchi mainly means that we have a taste in the activities of devotional service. Like we really love to chant, we really love to perform service. We get a deep taste out of it. Because on our level, I can speak for myself, I like chanting kirtan, I like bhajans. But it's not that every time I sit in a kirtan, I immediately overwhelmed with ecstatic emotions. No. Sometimes it might happen. But then usually, if your favorite kirtani is there, and he plays your favorite melody, and it's an auspicious moment and day, then maybe something happens, right? But if Bhakta, Bhakta Felix is singing, and he's, he doesn't get the tune properly, and nobody plays properly Mridanga, I'm sitting there and singing, I'm wasting my time here. I could do something else. So the thing is, my taste in the practice depends on the expertise of the performance. Yeah, and if Madhava or Jhanavi sings, then I feel, it's so nice, so nice. But I more enjoy the external, the singing and the music. But if I have ruchi, if I really have taste, then I taste the holy name. And it doesn't matter who is singing and who is playing Mridanga, because I relish the holy name. So that's the difference. So ruchi means you really have a taste in the holy name. You really absorb in the actual activity. And then when that ruchi becomes stronger, when it really becomes very strong, then it turns into ashakti, or attachment. And the difference between ruchi and ashakti is then the taste or the absorption is not anymore the service itself, but actually Krishna becomes the object of the attachment. On ruchi, it's the service itself that we relish, but on the platform of ashakti or asakti, then we become very much attached to Krishna. We develop this natural attraction and attachment to Krishna. And it's described very beautifully in the Madhurya Kadambini that at the present moment, we try to absorb in Krishna when we chant. No, we chant the name Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We try to think of Krishna, but then without our notice, the mind wanders off, and we start to think, what should I do today, and what is my service list, and then I will have to do this service, and then before we noticed, we start to think about Sanskritification usually, or even sinful thoughts, because the mind is just going downwards this direction. But on the platform of asakti, it's the opposite way. We may try to do something material. I don't know, we have to do our bookkeeping or something, or Steuererklärung, very dry. So we have to focus, but without noticing, our mind wanders off to Krishna. All of a sudden I think of Krishna and Radharani and the Raslila and Gopis and how did I end up here? I have to focus, I have to do my bookkeeping. And then again the mind wanders away, goes back to Krishna. We are not, we don't have power over it. The mind naturally goes back to Krishna. How wonderful is that? No? That's the platform of asakti. Then we have a natural attachment. And then if that asakti becomes more strong, then it turns into bhava. And this is what was described here. Then we attain bhava. And bhava actually is altogether a different platform, because bhava is, as we said before, then really we attain the spiritual platform. So it's described here that when asakti achieves its utmost maturity, it's called rati or bhava. Bhava is the budding stage of the three potencies of the Lord Satchit Ananda Swarup Shakti, Sandini, Samvit and Ladhini. In other words, at bhava, one is entering onto the Shuddha Sattva platform, and these potencies are just starting to manifest like the rays of the dawning sun. It is thus the blossoming flower of the desire creeper of bhakti. So, I got a little picture here. And you see bhava there, and then you see prema on the other side. So the point is, both, we have a rose here on both sides, but one is, just a budding stage, and one is the full blossoming stage. So in that sense, bhava and prema is the same. But still, in the beginning we said there is three kinds of devotional service, right? There is sadhana bhakti, there is bhava bhakti, and there is prema bhakti. So why do we have to discriminate? There is practice there's devotion in practice, and devotion on perfection. But it's discriminated because bhava, it is the beginning stage of prema. It's beginning, but not yet fully developed. So there, practice continues, and prema is then the full perfection. A more material example. Bhava and prema, when you take Lakshmi, it's both Lakshmi. But there's a difference between 5 rappen and 1,000 Swiss francs. But or another example is the bhava is like the sun rays, and prema is like the sun. It's like really the sun. But yeah, at the bhava stage, we are already experiencing amazing spiritual emotions and this beginning stage of love for Krishna. And it was described here that at this stage, it's described in Nectar of Devotion. There are 6 symptoms of devotion. Or 6 symptoms that starts to manifest when we perform devotional service. And on the platform of sadhana bhakti, when we just perform sadhana bhakti, then these 2 symptoms are klesh agni and shubhada. That means klesh agni means we become free from all miseries, and shubhada means all auspiciousness is manifesting. So that's already quite nice, no? Even on the practicing stage, you just practice devotional service, and klesh agni, all miseries will be removed, and all auspiciousness will manifest. And then, if one attains the platform of bhava, these 2 are still there, but then 2 more will come, which is moksha labudkrit and sudurlabha. Moksha labudkrit means that one is deriding the conception of moksha. Even if one is offered moksha, one has no interest. What is liberation? Liberation has no meaning for me, because I have so much taste in Krishna bhakti. And sudurlabha means it is very rarely attained. So the symptom of rarely attained is there on bhava. And if one attains prema, then 2 additional symptoms are manifesting: Sandarananda Visheshatma and Sri Krishna Karshini. Sandarananda Visheshatma means unlimited bliss, and Sri Krishna Karshini means that bhakti even attracts Krishna. That actually bhakti itself is more powerful than Krishna. If someone practicing devotional service, he becomes very, very attractive, and even Krishna becomes attracted to that devotion. So these are 6 symptoms, and I actually intended to talk a little bit about these 6 symptoms, but our time is already up.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you can read about the 6 symptoms. Srila Prabhupada describes them in the Nectar of Devotion. So in this way, this process of devotional service is actually very scientific, and it's important for us to deeply understand the science of bhakti, That's why we got these scriptures, and Srila Prabhupada mercifully brought these scriptures to us. So, especially these chapters that we are now studying in the Chaitanya Charitamrita is very powerful. So, we heard about the process of devotional service, and now we hear about these stages of perfection, Bhava and Prema, and I think in the next couple of shlokas these 9 stages are again in detail described. And then also the symptoms of Bhava are described, because when we speak of Bhava, yeah, this I also wanted to speak about, but time is up. You know, you can have external symptoms of Bhava, like shivering of the body and standing up of bodily hairs and flattering of voice. These are symptoms that you have when you have ecstatic emotions. But these you can easily fake. And sometimes you see in Vrindavan, some sahajyas, they pretend to be in love of God, and but during kirtan they start to shiver and ecstasy, tears come in their eyes. They walk out of the temple and smoke a bidi. So that's you can imitate these symptoms, you know. But then Rupa Goswami describes 9 symptoms of bhava which you cannot imitate, and they will be described in also the upcoming shlokas, such as they're very anxious to utilize time properly. They're always tolerant. They're completely detached. They're super humble, not demanding any respect. They're always hopeful that Krishna gives mercy. They're very eager to serve the Lord. They're very attached to the holy name, attached to the holy Dham, and to Krishna Katha. And these qualities are the true symptoms of bhava. And there will be detailed description coming up in the next couple of shlokas. Okay, I will end here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any comments, questions on what we discussed?
You have to press.
Yeah.
It's a long press. Yeah.
Also I have not at all I have a practical question.
Okay, good.
Not so philosophical one. I assume many of us wanted to make whipped cream, and they used the whisk, and after some times it happened that it was butter, you know. But we wanted to have a whipped cream, not butter. Then when I heard first time this Damodar Lila, and then she made butter out of yogurt, I thought, okay, I want to try it also at home. And I took the whisk and I started to but after some times it was no butter, and then I think, oh, maybe I'm too lazy, and I put the machine and tried with the machine half an hour. It was still yogurt. Then I was in Radhakund, and then I met the doctor of Radhakund, and then he asked me, do you have some desires? I said, oh yes, I want to see how a gopi churn out of yogurt butter. They said, okay, you come tomorrow in my house and I will show you. And then he organized everything. His sister came, and then was a pillar and the pot and everything like we see in the picture. And she made butter. But I don't know if she took yogurt or something else. And my question is, has somebody experienced how to make out of yogurt butter?
Very practical question.
Nobody knows that.
It's not that kind of creamy yogurt which we have here in Switzerland.
Yeah, this was but you know, this woman, she had not Krishna's cow, she had normal cow milk, also yogurt from Radhakund, not from the spiritual world.
I've seen it being made.
Huh?
I've seen it being made in front of me from yogurt. But
From yogurt?
Yeah.
You're sure?
I think
It's
so.
the
What?
consistency of the yogurt.
Maybe they make yogurt out of cream now, then it may be possible.
No, but it also depends on how you make the yogurt.
Yeah.
How they do it in Indian households is like they take milk and I don't know, I think my mother did it. She always had some stock of previous yogurt. She would just add that and let it ferment overnight.
Yeah, this
and
I
she would
don't.
freeze it, and that's how they made yogurt. And this yogurt, somehow, yeah, you get butter.
Then after I bought one of these wooden whisk, you know, like they have in India. Took it at home, but it didn't work.
What's nice, Vrindavan Chandra is already exercising, no? If I go to the spiritual world, someone asked me to do, the first service I get there, I have to learn it.
I had a question weakly linked to today's lecture. It's about the Damodar Leela. Yesterday we were reading from Sri Damodar Janani, so this question came into my mind because earlier in the day I was listening to a lecture of Srila Prabhupada where he was describing how merciful Krishna was to Putana, that he consumed her milk and gave her the status of being his mother. So it was a very nice meditation. And then while reading from Sri Damodar Janani, what really struck me is like Krishna doesn't touch the trees, like he's using the mortar. And here was a demoness who Krishna touched and consumed her milk, and here were two demigods who Krishna was kind of delivering very in a third hand way, in the sense that he was not touching them directly. So I was thinking, is there maybe it's my speculation, but is there a significance why Krishna doesn't touch them? Maybe it's a stupid question, but it was because the description was very long of how the mortar goes and the rope and everything. But then it struck me, Krishna doesn't touch them directly at all. So
it's interesting also, from the question I can hear, you prefer to hear about Damodar Leela, huh? I didn't realize we could have spoken about Damodar Leela a bit more. But in this description that we heard yesterday, I also remember, and Shamananda was reading when we were at home, also preparing. Actually, when these two sons of Kuvera were delivered, they were offering prayers. And the description also says that Krishna wasn't so much interested in the prayers. Krishna was more into playing with the mortar and the ropes, and they were like offering prayers and in awe and reverence. And Krishna was like, oh, okay. But when they were calling his name, Krishna, Krishna, then Krishna kind of was looking up. So what we can take from there is that Krishna is, as we know, Krishna is only interested in love. Krishna is only interested in bhakti. And if a conditioned soul in some way or another shows some bhakti, some devotion, then Krishna becomes interested. And these two sons of Kuvera, they didn't in the past and before, they were not showing any affection to Krishna. They were just behaving naughty, and then they were cursed by Narada Muni, and then by good fortune they happened to get in touch with Krishna in this way. But it's not that they did performed some devotional service before, as we know. I mean, most probably they did, otherwise they couldn't get such blessings, but it's not described in that sense. But with Putana, we know that who was Putana in her previous lives?
Sister of Bali.
She was the sister of Bali. And when Bali Maharaj entered the arena, what did she sing?
She likes.
Yeah, she liked.
She wants him to be his son.
Yes, she because Bali, Vamanadev is the dwarf incarnation, and it says also a small brahmachari, a little boy, and like very cute little boy. So when the sister of Bali saw that cute little boy, she felt some love, some affection. Oh, he's so cute. I would like to, give him my breast milk. I would like to feed him. I like to serve him. So, and that was her, good, the emotion that she had. And then, of course, as Putana, she was a demon, but still the act of offering milk was there. So Krishna took the good thing there. So there was some desire to please Krishna, and Krishna took that. I mean, that's what comes to my mind. I don't know. Maybe would you like to add something?
Maybe I have one stupid thing in my mind. But
Please share.
I heard that Krishna not killed demons, but himself, but with demons deal his Vasudeva portion. So maybe it's very rare to demons when Krishna really take them by his hands. It was Vasudeva, I think.
Yeah, okay, that's another aspect that Vrindavan Krishna is not really touching them or dealing with them. It's actually Narayan or Vasudeva Krishna that kills the demons. Yeah.
I have one theoretical question. You said that Raganuga Bhakti we should follow by footsteps of Ragatmika Bhaktas. And Ragatmika Bhaktas were here with Krishna 5,000 years ago, but if Ragatmika Bhaktas are now in the earth or not, how we can follow their steps? By reading, by hearing, or we can meet them in presence?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Well, there is two things. There's the Siddha Deha and the Sadhaka Deha. Like we know, Rupa Goswami, for example, he actually is Rupa Manjari, and Rupa Manjari is her Siddha Deha in the spiritual world. And then, of course, when such personality come to this world, then they show another form, like as a sadhaka. They give the example of a sadhaka. So if we follow Rupa Goswami, then we also will follow a Ragatmika Bhakta, in the sense that originally he is actually a Manjari. Yes, that's there. This is also an aspect where, like, sometimes comes the question of Raganuga Bhakti. What does it mean to practice Raganuga Bhakti, and actually do we practice Raganuga Bhakti in ISKCON? Sometimes people, they claim that, well, in ISKCON you only do ABC, you only do sadhana bhakti, and when you only do sadhana bhakti, you go to Vaikuntha. You only end up in Vaikuntha. Because in order to go to Goloka Vrindavan, you have to practice spontaneous devotional service, Raganuga Bhakti. But if you don't do it in ISKCON, then we all end up in Vaikuntha. How horrible! we don't attain Krishna's Braj. And this is true. Shastras makes this point. And it's obvious, if you want to be in Goloka Vrindavan, then you have to have love, you have to have prem, and that you have that madhurya, that sweet love, not with own reverence. But it's interesting, Prabhupada was criticized that he's not teaching Raganuga Bhakti, and Bhaktisiddhanta was also criticized. They were criticizing Bhaktisiddhanta that he's not properly teaching Raganuga Bhakti. But is it actually true that Bhaktisiddhanta and Prabhupada didn't teach Raganuga Bhakti? Actually, it's not true. And we're not going into the details now, but there will be a seminar on Manashiksha where we will describe this, because in Manashiksha we have Raghunath Das Goswami's description. And because Raganuga Bhakti also, there is one aspect are the meditations, the meditation and rituals, and another aspect are the internal mood and the mentality and the attitude. And Bhaktisiddhanta and Prabhupada, they did well teach the attitude and the mood. They maybe not teach the meditation so much, or they didn't. Like the purport that I read, Prabhupada touches a little bit on this, but Prabhupada didn't give us meditations. But Prabhupada did speak about the internal mood and attitude that one should have. Anyway, that's a very vast topic. And whether or not we have Ragatmika Bhaktas with us, that's very difficult to say. Because who can recognize a pure devotee is only a pure devotee himself. Only those who are pure devotees can recognize another pure devotees. But one thing is clear, there is always pure devotees on this planet. Krishna makes sure that there is always some pure devotees. Yes. Okay, I think we'll stop here. Grantaraj Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Go Premanande. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Vanja Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Bheva Cha Paditanam Pramanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
You remember? Yeah, someone doesn't get good ways.
Yes.
But I think that the main point is to intake yogurt from the shop, because it's not yogurt. I have such experience in Ukraine when I tried from the shop. I only went when one was to take real milk from real cow, then do yogurt by yourself with real bacteria. And this yogurt must be Yes, it's very simple yogurt. Then I remember that we put this yogurt for maybe 8, 9, 10 in warm place in the box. And it became something so. And then we just with mixer and also it must be very cold. And also you can put ice water to add this. And the entire this butter is not like butter. It's not so fat, it's very nice. So Krishna is more very it was not so yellow as this one. Maybe it was not so
Yeah, because if you see the pictures, the butter always drops from the pot, you know, it is Krishna Lila. So, okay.
And in Ukraine, in Vaishnava farm near Kyiv, they always produce butter from yogurt. There are these ones from
They have their own cow.
yes, from this butter from Kyiv, this butter from and the temple give temple for baby teacher must take butter from yogurt. It's more expensive.
Das heißt, du müsstest mir ein bisschen von deiner Geschichte erzählen. Ich müsste deinen Rücken angucken, der auf deinem Bein ist und so weiter. Und Sachen, die muss ich mir jetzt überlegen. Okay. Gut, ich schaue mal, was ich heute für eine Geschichte habe. Müsste was passen. Und wenn du möchtest, kannst du dir dann noch in Termin überlegen, oder wie es Krishna bewusst ist. Das ist just do something. You know, if you don't do anything, there's a root, and the root is not bad, it's my subject. You do that, people to do it.